thank you once again, Governor-elect. We appreciate your time. Let's jump right into it. What is your first priority that first day on the job?
You know, we have put together a great team, and so our first day on the job will be pull that team together and talk about where we want to go and how we want to get there, and begin day one with those priorities that we talked about on the campaign trail. Good job for every Tennessean, good schools for our kids, and safe neighborhoods.
Let's talk about health care to begin with, because I know that's another priority of yours. Some 280,000 Tennesseans are going without health insurance at this point. How do you plan to address that gap?
It's very important that we find a way to provide high-quality health care to every Tennessean, and health care that they can afford. The challenge that we have is that the rising costs of health care are unsustainable. They are escalating at a rate that's far surpasses inflation. So we got to get a handle on costs before we do anything else. And I think we do that by providing greater access to folks. In rural communities, for example, we changed the model of healthcare there. We provide telemedicine that utilizes technology and lowers the cost of delivery of health services there. We need to have more primary care physicians in those communities, and we can do that by incentivizing rural residencies. So there are a lot of things that have to come together to lower the cost of healthcare, but we're going to begin day one working on those. The other piece of this that's really important is to talk about health and not just health care. 80% of the cost of health care in our state is associated with largely preventable chronic disease. And that is a result of being one of the most unhealthy states in the country. So we have to talk about health if we really want to talk about health care.
Excellent. Let's talk about legalizing medical marijuana. You have said up to this point it is not something that you support. 33 states in America do, and I know there's a bill put forth by 2 Republicans that will be coming down the path. Would there be any way your mind would change on medical marijuana?
You know, I think that the first thing that we need to do is to more fully explore the use of low THC CBD oils, and we haven't done that fully in this state. And there's some real data that shows that that's a great approach to take. I would do that before I would look beyond, and that's my view of where we ought to go first.
Okay. Moving right along. I'm going at a rapid pace.
Yeah,
I hope that's okay. Tennessee vouchers. Do you expect in your administration that Tennessee will have vouchers for their schools?
You know, what I believe in my administration is we're going to see approaches to education that improve the quality of education for every Tennessean. For every kid in Tennessee deserves to have a high quality education. And most of our kids are going to be educated through our traditional public school system. So we have to make certain that whatever we do strengthens the public school system in our state, supports teachers who are where the rubber meets the road, and those are priorities. One of the ways that I think we enhance the system is providing parents choices. There are a lot of different ways to provide choices, and I want to look at all of them, but when we provide choice, not only is that parent's child outcome improved generally, but the system itself is improved. So I want to look at any number of ways that we can improve the overall education system in Tennessee.
Some argue, though, that are you strengthening public schools if you're taking money away from public schools?
You know, there's data that shows that you can, and that you actually can provide choice without taking money away. There are a lot of ways to do this, and we're going to be looking at all of those ways, but you need to know that my commitment is to every child and to the public school system in Tennessee, and we will only do things that are going to strengthen schools for all kids.
Arming teachers, that is something that you said that you support. Were from teachers is that it's not necessarily something they want to do. You still feel strongly that they need to have that opportunity?
What I feel strongly about is protecting our children. Making sure that when we send our kids off to school, that they're in a safe environment. I will look at any opportunity to do that. There's been a lot of talk about school resource officers in every school. I think that's something that we clearly should and could look at. There's nothing that I would take off the table when considering the safety of our children, and Army teachers is an option, but also school resource officers, and that may be a better option. So we're going to look at multiple options, but we're going to make sure our kids are safe.
You have said vocational, technological opportunities for students is of the utmost importance.
That's right.
What are your ideas as far as enhancing that?
It is a priority of mine. I think that for way too long we've ignored vocational, technical, and agricultural education in our public school systems, and we have a lack of skilled workforce as a result. I went to the Detroit Auto Show to make the announcement with Governor Haslam about Volkswagen, and talked to Nissan and General Motors executives there. We all talked about the need for skilled trades and for workforce development through our education system. That's my background in history, is in skilled trades, the business that I was engaged in. So it is a priority of mine. I want to partner with industry to let industry be a part of, in partnership with the education system, producing an education system that actually provides the skills necessary for jobs. I met with an industry in West Tennessee just this week about their partnership with the education system to bring about vocational technical education.
Huge component. Let's talk about criminal justice reform now. Any specific direction, changes that you would like to see as we go in that direction of reform?
You know, I spent a lot of time on this subject in my private sector life, working in nonprofits, particularly in reentry work. And, you know, 95% of everyone that's incarcerated will re-enter society in the state of Tennessee. And the degree to which we re-enter them successfully is the degree to which we lower crime, because their likelihood of recommitting a crime when they come out right now is about 50-50 chance that they will. If we lower that recommit rate, then we're going to provide safer neighborhoods across Tennessee. There are things we can do right away that are going to make it easier and more successful for people who are already coming out to be successful when they do come out. And we're looking at specific ways to do that already. The other thing I want to look at early on is strengthening the intake side of incarceration. So mental health courts, drug courts, veterans courts, alternative sentencing for nonviolent offenders, those that are not a threat to Tennesseans but that need rehabilitation. We know what works there. We just need to strengthen that, and we'll be working day one on that. And then a more comprehensive approach to criminal justice reform will come following those.
And we have to talk about the opioid epidemic, especially given that East Tennessee is especially hard hit by this epidemic. What does your plan include in fighting this?
Well, it includes strengthening the penalties for those who traffic illegally, because the opioid epidemic has become an illicit drug epidemic through fentanyl and heroin, and I want to make sure that drug traffickers don't want to come to this state when they traffic. So there's a law enforcement piece that we're working on, and then even today we talked about strengthening the systemic challenges that we have in prescriptions and overprescribing. So those are two different approaches to that problem. It's a tragedy that we have going on in this state, and it's something that's very important that we address aggressively from the very beginning. We're going to do so.
Taxes. Under any circumstance, would you be willing to raise taxes?
You know, I am not one who believes that greater government is better, smaller government is better. Limited government provides unlimited opportunity for we the people to operate. My approach in fiscal management is going to be a conservative approach that says, much like I would approach managing my business when I was in business, which is, you should not expand what you spend. You really need to look more at cutting than you do at expanding. And so discerning the difference between what you need and what you want, and making certain that you fund those things which you need, like education, transportation, criminal justice, law enforcement. Those are things that we need. The things that we want, then we just don't fund those if we don't have the resources, and raising taxes to get the resources would not be my approach.
Final question.
All right.
You are days out from taking the oath of office.
Yeah.
What are you feeling? What are you experiencing?
I think the greatest emotion that I have is honor. I'm honored to be in the spot that I am. To imagine that the people of Tennessee place their confidence in me by voting for me, it's a high honor. I have a great deal of responsibility attached to that honor, mm-hmm. and I feel very inspired and excited about the opportunity to wake up and think about serving 6.5 million people every day. I'm very honored and excited.
Well, best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.